Hey guys, Mecha-san here with another Watch Mojo Assassin's Creed related top 10 video here. This is the top 10 real life historical events in Assassin's Creed games. A subject which I'm sure many history buffs and all that have taken on just flaming on Assassin's Creed on the game for all of it. Like just saying how that's not how it happened. That's not how it historically happened and stuff like that. Because yeah, it really does come off as just ignorant, really, of those people. Because Ubisoft from the get-go knew that people would say about that here, would complain of how that's historically inaccuracy or whatever here, because they had a scene in the very first game like pretty much explaining it all away.
Some of the stuff I'm seeing in the Animus, sometimes it seems wrong, untrue, like the history is off somehow. It doesn't
what, Mr. Miles? Match up with what you read on an online encyclopedia? What your high school history teacher taught you? Let me ask you something. Do these supposed experts have access to secret knowledge kept hidden from the rest of us?
There are books, letters, documents, all sorts of source material from back then. Some of it seems to contradict what the Animus is showing me.
Anyone can write a book, and they can put whatever they want on its pages. Anything.
So yeah, and it's actually a reasoning I get behind, actually, because history tells us one story. History books tells us one story. All these facts, all these little words written on paper, these records and stuff, they tell us one story, but how much of that could have been altered, changed? There was clearly a bit of bias in those records, and that's what the anime is supposed to tell us here. This is what truly happened. No bias, no misinterpretations of records like that here, just the cold, hard, raw facts. So I'm curious to see what we got here, because we got some famous here, the Renaissance. We have, right now, starting things off here with this video, we got Julius Caesar and everything like that. For this one here, when we go this far back in time, yeah, records will be far. I'm more hesitant to rely on the records and stuff like that, because yeah, how much detail has been lost to times here? How many big events? I mean, even in real life, even more recent information, like take for example the American Civil War. Now, we know about a few famous battles here, but what about some of the other battles here? Because it wasn't just like the Battle of Gettysburg or that, the Siege of Atlanta, stuff like that here, but there was also like, I learned this from Pawn Stars, the Battle of Cross Keys. Like, who knows about that battle? Yeah, like, so basically the whole point is there's some information that is forgotten, is not mentioned that much, and as time goes on, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years, they can be forgotten. But let's just watch this, okay? Let's, oh, sorry.
At 30, he was a god with an empire stretching across the known world.
Oh. Yeah, Alexander the Great. He used the Trident of Eden to conquer, and the Staff of Eden to rule.
What have I done with my 5 long decades here on Earth? It army do you faint?
Together we can do more than Alexander did.
You guys can see the staff.
Welcome to Mojo Plays.
King
Today,
Richard.
We're looking at 10 historical events in Assassin's Creed games.
Vengeance, then? No, not vengeance.
Oh, okay.
Justice.
There is a blood fever.
Okay.
They say it's a curse and they need help from the gods.
Yeah, the whole Capilonian in hell. The Bastille,
Read up on.
which is
Before
where...
we begin, we publish new content all week long, so
Yeah, the Bastille was where revolutionaries went to gain gunpowder.
be sure to
Because they got a bunch of guns, but no gunpowder.
About our latest videos. The 1755 Lisbon earthquake.
Oh.
Assassin's Creed Rogue.
Yeah, Lisbon.
Portugal's capital city was practically destroyed by a debilitating earthquake in 1755 in a natural disaster that caused up to 50,000 deaths at the highest estimates. You experienced the quake firsthand near the beginning of Assassin's Creed Rogue. It's triggered by Shay taking a piece of Eden from a vault beneath
The
city,
seismic
and
temple.
is the inciting
It's
incident that causes Shay to leave the Assassins.
God had no.
the seismic temple, which was a fan nickname that Ubisoft decided to formally adopt. Yeah. I can understand why this will make Shay mad and everything, especially after he heard about what happened in, forgot the other location here, but Tahiti? Was it not? Wasn't that, but yeah, the first seismic temple. But the thing is, the Assassins, they never knew that. They never were made aware of that because the assassin that retrieved the artifact, he died. He was trapped and was killed by the Templars, so the knowledge of the Temples they never got him, so...
Nothing to do with this.
He decides that no organization that allows so many lives to be lost just for the sake of another Isu relic is worth his time, and defects to the Templars.
Yeah, it's like, okay, I get Shay would not feel well here, and I think they sort of hint that Achilles was kind of becoming a bit of a dick, because because his wife and son died of sickness, but like they didn't know, you didn't know, no one. The only ones that technically knew are the Templars, and they were not gonna tell you.
The Lisbon earthquake broke the streets apart and
Even that only select few Templars knew.
One of the franchise's best and most tragic platforming sections.
Yeah, guys, this was a good scene. This was cool. This was like, wow. Really?
The Battle of Chippenham, Assassin's Creed Valhalla.
Okay, gotta skip these. I have not played Valhalla yet.
The Borgia Papacy,
Papacy.
and Assassin's Creed Brotherhood.
What better way to celebrate my victories than to join in the Brotherhood of Man?
One of the most notorious noble families to ever live, the Borgias have certainly been painted as villains by history, including when they appeared during the Ezio trilogy. Cesare Borgia is the main antagonist of Brotherhood, while his father Rodrigo takes control of the Vatican, becoming Pope Alexander VI.
I really will plan on replaying the trilogy game, and I really appreciate how Rodrigo has changed. I mean, he's still an asshole, but after realizing that, yeah, you're not the prophet or anything like that in 2, it's like, you kind of mellowed out.
Why did you not stop them? As if I could. It was not my decision to attack Monteriggione. It was yours.
Today, it's not clear how much about the Borgias is true and how much was slander invented by their rivals in European high society, but they did exist and also had control of Italy for a time.
Yep.
In Spanish, they weren't particularly popular in Italy, and that's definitely something the games get right, since Ezio spends his time trying to oust them from power.
Even the whole poison that Rodrigo tried to use on Cesare, and then with the apple, and Cesare gets used to kill his father, that was also historically accurate. They were known for using that kind of poison, from what I gather.
It's finished, Rodrigo. Lay down your arms, and I will make sure the end comes swiftly.
I'm still want to know what happened to that staff. What happened to to the Vatican vault here? It's like, it was still technically open right there. It's like, yeah, I mean, the entryway and everything was right there, still open here. The floor was still down and everything. What happened?
Assassin's Creed.
The Third Crusade.
You know not the things in which you meddle, assassin.
Both the Assassin Brotherhood and the Knights Templar have their origins in the Crusades, despite both groups having existed for far longer according to the lore of later games, becoming the Hidden Ones and the Order of Ancients. But the very first game tackled the Crusades and their atrocities head-on, pitting Altair against many of the Holy Land's most important figures, such as Richard the Lionheart.
Vengeance, then? No, not vengeance.
I'm still curious about that future game that they mentioned, but the rumor game where we get to play as Richard the Lionheart. Yeah. No dialogue trees. Straight line. A straight set linear story. That's what we want.
Justice.
And when you're not eavesdropping on conversations in one of the three main cities,
I did hear that the big rumor is that they want to remake this game.
Without being taken out.
Which I don't know. I mean, I can still play this for game and have fun.
To arms, assassin!
The Plague of Athens, Assassin's Creed Odyssey.
What's going on?
Chalcos was consumed by plague.
This is one of the earliest missions on Kefalonia.
It was spreading. We had to intervene.
In the year 430 BC, and for a few years subsequently, Athens was struck by a devastating plague that killed tens of thousands of people. In Assassin's Creed Odyssey, you witness the horrors of the plague outbreak, complete with a gray color filter on your screen, including the death of Athenian leader Pericles.
At least I'm alive. Though I can't say the same for my city.
Okay, yeah.
Assassin's Creed still can't shed light on one of history's biggest mysteries. What was the disease that caused the devastating plague? It may have been the Black Death, but it's also been theorized to have been everything else from measles to Ebola, and some medical evidence suggests it might have even been typhoid.
There was, how would they know? They don't have the means to truly show anything like that. And clearly they didn't have the, or at least they didn't implement the necessary designs or models or textures to show either one of these here. Like, none of them had any boils, none of them look like they had rotten teeth or nothing. But yeah, I do remember the mission well here. It's like, we find this family here is apparently not infected by the sickness here in Kefalonia, and we can choose either to let the priest kill them or kill the priest and everything and save them. But doing the latter, Kefalonia gets struck by sickness. Like, ouch. Basically, those guys were carriers. May have had natural immunity, but they were still carriers and they could spread the disease.
There is a
And the clothes and everything.
They say it's a curse and they need help from the gods.
Blackbeard's death, Assassin's Creed 4, Black Flag.
Oh god, yeah.
Sadly. But there's a few wrecks yonder that ain't been scoured by nothing but crabs and coral.
You'll encounter many of history's most notorious pirates throughout Black Flag.
I got to get me the novelization of this game. Because the novelization, from what little I researched, goes deeper into the backstory of these guys here. Like how Benjamin Hornigold and Edward Thatch, good old Blackbeard there, how they were privateers, and how Kenway met them and how they taught him the ropes and everything.
Including Anne Bonny, Mary Read, Black Bart, and,
of
course, Blackbeard himself, perhaps the most infamous of all. But just like in real life, Blackbeard meets an untimely and grisly end. He was killed during a surprise attack planned by Robert Maynard of the Royal Navy, who pursued him relentlessly for some time.
And killed him in his retirement. How close is this to the history books? Oh well.
Upon his death, Blackbeard had his head cut off
Yeah.
and taken as a trophy by Maynard, who planned to use it to claim a bounty.
Yeah, it's like, and I love, and that, knowing that part here, it makes me see this scene again here, where he gets struck in the back. Where that happened, it's like, look, judging from the angle of the blade, he was, I mean, it looked like he was slashed in the back here, but knowing that little bit of information makes me think that that sword actually got him in the head. And that's why we don't, look at the way. Look, and then there's his hat falls off, which
Blackbeard had his
Just his hat. That was just his hat, by the way. Not there was no head because we can tell in that quick scene where it falls right here.
Blackbeard
Like,
had his
but yeah, like the way this image looks like, it's like,
head cut off
oh.
and taken as a trophy by Maynard.
So Edward Kenway just saw his good friend beheaded in front of him, like this in battle.
Planned to use it to claim a bounty. He's given more of a hero's death in Black Flag since he's one of Kenway's allies, but it's still relatively true to life.
You'll be hanged.
Yeah, and keep in mind here, the British, they would paint themselves as pure as the best light, and Edward and his and Blackbeard and his pirates in the worst manner possible in their official reports. So, and those official reports will be what will be remembered in the history books.
And sundry, just as them there were in Boston. The king's called for a pardon.
The Ides of March, Assassin's Creed Origins.
The people love you, Caesar. You're a god.
The Senate will not bow so easily.
That parliament of clucking hens.
Another high-profile death that aimed to recreate history to the letter came in Assassin's Creed Origins, where Julius Caesar is murdered by his fellow Roman senators for trying to make himself the Emperor of Rome.
Yep.
Roman emperors did exist, of course, but not until after Caesar had been gone, which is why the other politicians didn't take kindly to him becoming a dictator.
If you ally with my sister, I will kill every last Roman in Alexandria.
You've already had plenty of encounters with Caesar by this point, including witnessing his affair with Cleopatra, but it was certainly a dramatic moment to see his demise. He was brutally stabbed to death by a dozen men in broad daylight who were supposedly members of the assassins in-game.
They were. That guy was one of the first of the Roman Brotherhood. Very early on, but
You too, my child.
Storming of the Bastille, Assassin's Creed Unity.
this one went by fast here, and if I didn't watch like oversimplified video on the French Revolution, I would not know why exactly.
Began on July 14th,
Or read the
1789,
databases.
Celebrated as Bastille
But yeah,
Day every year in modern France.
Oh really? Wow. But yeah, like in my opinion, oversimplified does a better job. Wait, let me say that again. What did you say?
Still celebrated as began on July 14th, 1789, still celebrated as Bastille Day every year.
Oh, Bastille Day, cool.
The Bastille, a large and oppressive prison in Paris, had stood for hundreds of years, starting life as a fortress. But while it was capable of repelling British invasions, it eventually fell to the revolutionaries, who stormed the prison and broke the prisoners out. And one of those prisoners was, of course, Arno Dorian, soon to be assassin.
Well, they broke themselves out, but the rest, yes.
Drake took care of that a long time ago.
Arno didn't really exist, but the Bastille's storming remains one
We
of
don't
the
know
most
about that.
important political
Just kidding.
moments in French history,
Just kidding.
leading to the establishment of the First French Republic and the advent of the Revolution.
But to be fair, we don't even know if Altair existed, or Connor Kenway, or Evelyn de Grandport. Or Bayek.
The Boston Tea Party, Assassin's Creed 3.
The Sons of Liberty get to send a message to England, and you rob William Johnson of his financing. Your village will be saved.
In 1773, American
This
radicals launched
one-
a protest against the British colonial rulers, who had imposed higher taxes on
Yeah,
tea
this one,
that wasn't sold by the
I
East
have a
India
problem with
Company.
this one here.
Outraged by British taxation, the Sons of Liberty took large amounts of the East India Company's tea and dumped it in the Boston Harbor.
We need to keep those bastards at bay while the tea's being dumped.
Let me help.
In Assassin's Creed 3, this has the secondary aim of financially damaging the Templars, which is why it's Connor who has the honor of carrying the tea and tossing it into the ocean. It's still a huge part of Boston's history, and one
Yeah, I
of the
know
first
that.
incidents in the successful American Revolution. Connor really hit the British where it hurts, right in the tea bags.
Guess so. But then it makes me wonder here, because what is the history books says that they all dressed as Native Americans when they stormed the ports and dropped the tea. Yet in Assassin's Creed, because like, obviously they press for time in 3, they press for time here to meet the whole like my encounter thing. They clearly didn't have the time. They clearly didn't have the time to make the character models like look like Indians, look like Native Americans. So question is, how in the world of Assassin's Creed did the whole thing of and the revolutionaries went up dressed as Native Americans and threw the tea? That part, how did that happen? How did that get recorded? The answer, moving on. That's the answer.
Jack the Ripper's Killing Spree, Assassin's Creed Syndicate.
Oh,
Stop!
boy. Yeah,
You want me, Jack?
Jack the Ripper.
Kill me!
The most notorious serial killer in history, Jack the Ripper was famously never caught or held responsible for his violent crimes.
And and Jack the Ripper, it's like both a product of the Templars and the Assassins.
Syndicate mostly takes place in the 1860s, which left room for an entire
That's 20
DLC
years.
set in the unforgiving winter of 1888, when the Ripper was at large.
Yep.
Evie Fry returns from abroad and is tasked with unmasking the Ripper by Aberlin when everybody believes her brother Jacob is responsible.
Only you know who the Ripper is, but you can't tell a living soul because it would destroy you and the assassins.
If we wonder exactly, that's the thing that the game didn't do well at. Explain how revealing the Reaper, even his body, his dead body, we saw would compromise the Brotherhood. I mean, a corpse can't talk, and this is Jack the Ripper. He's a corpse now, so how is compromise the Brotherhood? That's the one thing. Well, one of many things in Syndicate that they failed to truly explain. But we looked away here because this was actually pretty damn good DLC. I do wonder though, I mean, with Evie and getting married and hooking up with Henry, did they ever have children? I know Jacob did with Lydia Fry, but I mean, with granddaughter Lydia Fry, but
Of course, you can't set a game in Victorian London without getting Jack the Ripper in there somewhere, and dedicating a whole expansion gave these ghastly crimes the weight they deserve, saving them from becoming another of Syndicate's penny dreadful side missions.
Rest in peace now, Jack.
I didn't mind Penny Dreadful missions.
Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the
that's
video,
it?
there's more where that came from.
Yeah, I guess that's it. So a lot of these, okay, I had to skip one, of course. Yeah, the Jack the Ripper DLC was cool here, and when you learn the history about Jack the Ripper in the games, it's like, okay, so his mother, was murdered by one of the Blighters, Templar Run gang. Saw it happen right in front of him, and ergo it broke him psychologically, and he was committed to Lambert Asylum, which no doubt made him worse. And when the assassins, or rather Jacob Fry, came and everything and did his thing, he got out, and some way Jacob found Jack when he was a lad, Jack the lad, took him in and thought, hey, well, learn to treat the assassins here, be part of a brotherhood, we can help, and that could help them. Naturally, of course, we've established that Jacob is a very, very poor judge of character. And just dumb in general. So, they taught him the ways of the assassins, specifically the fear tactics used by the Indian Brotherhood. And then 20 years later, Jack came back to London, incorporated those fears, took the rooks from Jacob, and started the Whitechapel killings, with many of the prostitutes being undercover assassin members. Oh, so yeah, that was something. There we got again the boss. Wow, this could have been so much more. I gotta wonder how this Boston Tea Party here. If they had more time, if they did not care about the whole Mayan calendar thing, because to be honest, they were trying to reach that because due to the plot of the game. How much better could this event have been here? We would actually see characters in Native American garb. We would probably see Connor here in his Native American garbs, doing and everything. So yeah, overall, a lot of things bring back memories here. The Bastille, like oh yeah, the plague, the plague here in Odyssey. See, the Borgia family. Oof. So everyone, tell me what you all thought about this video in the comments down below here. What historical events do you wish they add in here? Do you wish they reference? A couple of the beheadings would have been interesting from Unity. Now that I think about it, well, we saw King Louis get his head chopped off. We saw Robespierre get his head chopped off. Never saw, like, Charlotte Antoinette get her head chopped off, which... Oh well. Marie Antoinette, my bad. So there was that here. There was a bunch. Yeah, the Lisbon. That was something, and shows what happens when you mess with Isu artifacts not knowing what they do. It's like, yeah, I get you want to keep, both sides want to keep it away from the other, but oh boy, makes me wonder what other seismic temples there are. Because I can't help but think about, the San Andreas Fault and wonder, could there be a seismic temple in California? Certainly something to consider. Alright, so everyone, thank you all for watching. As always, comment what you all thought, everything. Like to start for more videos. So next one, and just hold that down. This is Mecha-san, logging out.